While it's rumored that Rose Hanbury has a, let's say, complicated relationship with Princess Catherine, it seems Kate's father-in-law, King Charles III, holds Hanbury in high esteem. Rose Hanbury has strong ties to King Charles and the royals due to her family. Before marrying, Hanbury was a socialite and worked as a model. According to Now to Love, her family has been a part of British high society for decades.
Prince William's coronation date is finally revealed, and the fallout is immediate. As the palace prepares for a new reign, Queen Camilla is suddenly removed from royal duties and escorted out of Buckingham. Insiders say this was no accident, but a calculated move to erase her from the next chapter of monarchy. Coronation date confirmed. Royal announcement shakes the palace. After months of hushed whispers and strategic silence, Buckingham Palace has finally spoken, and the words have sent shockwaves across the monarchy. The coronation date of Prince William, now King William V, has officially been confirmed. But this isn't just another royal announcement. It's a message, a declaration, a quiet but powerful break from the past, and especially from Camilla. The date chosen? Deliberately symbolic. It aligns with a beloved moment from Queen Elizabeth II's reign, and, even more poignantly, with a key anniversary tied to Princess Diana's humanitarian legacy. For many, it feels like the monarchy is rewinding time to make things right. The statement was delivered by the Archbishop of Canterbury, whose emotional tone did not go unnoticed. He spoke of a new dawn rooted in legacy, memory, and service, carefully avoiding any mention of Queen Camilla. Observers were quick to point out what wasn't said. "It's what the announcement left out that says the most," one royal analyst tweeted. No reference to the former queen consort, no mention of her role. That's not an oversight. That's an erasure. The wording was sharp. It called the upcoming coronation a modern chapter honoring timeless values. Insiders say this phrasing wasn't random. It reflects William's vision, a monarchy built on trust, respect, and dignity. Not scandal, not drama, and definitely not the shadow of Camilla's controversial past. As the announcement hit airwaves, public reaction exploded. Television stations interrupted normal programming. Royal commentators flooded radio shows. No Camilla at the crown. But while the nation celebrated, the mood behind palace walls told a different story. Especially inside Clarence House, where Queen Camilla reportedly received the news not from Charles, but from her own staff. She didn't know, a senior royal aide confirmed. She had no part in the discussions, no invitation to the ceremony planning. When the date was announced, it was as much news to her as to the public. The symbolism couldn't be clearer. William's coronation is not just a ceremony, it's a clean slate. And for Camilla, it marked something far more chilling: the beginning of the end. As one royal observer put it, this date didn't just confirm the next king, it confirmed the quiet removal of a queen. Camilla's immediate fallout. Palace sources speak out. The announcement may have dazzled the public, but behind closed doors, it ignited a royal storm. Within hours of the coronation date going public, Queen Camilla was said to be in an emotional tailspin, described by staff as uncharacteristically unhinged. According to multiple sources inside Clarence House, what followed was nothing short of a royal meltdown. She was blindsided, one staff member revealed. There was shouting, slamming doors, and demands to speak to Charles immediately. And she wasn't just upset about the date. She was devastated that she had been excluded entirely from the planning, the discussions, and even the Archbishop's speech. Camilla reportedly stormed into a private meeting with King Charles, demanding to know why she hadn't been consulted. Her words, according to one witness, were sharp. "I was promised a place beside you until the end. Am I now to vanish from the history books?" But there were no promises left to give. Charles, already weakened by illness and under immense pressure, was said to be gentle but distant. He offered no clear explanation, no defense, just a quiet reminder to support William's vision and accept the new era. It didn't help. In the days following, Camilla's presence within the palace shifted dramatically. Senior courtiers confirmed she was not included in key pre-coronation briefings. Invitations went out to Princess Anne, the Archbishop, and even foreign dignitaries, but not to her. For Camilla, this exclusion wasn't just painful. It was proof that her time as queen was quietly being erased. One palace insider didn't mince words. She was watching herself be written out in real time. The emotional toll was visible. Staff reported seeing Camilla in tears during a meeting with her private secretary. Her once confident demeanor had vanished. She canceled appearances, refused press interviews, and retreated from royal life almost overnight. "It's not just a humiliation," another aide added. "It's a fall from grace, and she knows it." But perhaps the most telling shift came from within her own household. Several longtime staffers were reassigned, and a few left entirely, choosing to stay within William and Catherine's growing royal circle instead. The message was clear. Camilla's era was over. And for the first time since she entered public life as Charles's companion, Camilla had no control, no allies, and no clear way back in. But the most devastating blow was still to come. Because while she tried to reclaim her position, William was already steps ahead. Prince William's hidden move that changed everything. Long before the public heard a word about the coronation, Prince William was already writing the future in silence. Weeks ahead of the official announcement, William held a highly secretive meeting with Princess Anne and the Archbishop of Canterbury, without inviting his father or Camilla. No press, no aides. Just three of the monarchy's most trusted and tradition-driven figures. Their task? To decide what kind of monarchy would rise after Charles, and who would no longer have a place in it. And William was crystal clear. This coronation, he said, must not be about him alone. It must reflect the values of Queen Elizabeth II and the unspoken memory of Princess Diana. A monarchy grounded in service, humility, and legacy, not personal agendas or public repair jobs. One source close to the Archbishop recalled William saying, "This crown doesn't belong to me. It belongs to the people. And they remember who it was taken from." That was no accident. Diana's legacy loomed large over every decision he made. Camilla had allegedly lobbied for weeks behind the scenes, hoping to retain a ceremonial role during William's crowning. Some whispered she wanted to present the crown herself, or carry one of the royal scepters. But William vetoed it all, quietly, strategically, without room for reversal. His logic was ironclad. A coronation should represent continuity, not contradiction. And after decades of controversy, including the painful shadow of Diana's memory, Camilla's presence would only ignite public division. Kate Middleton, according to multiple insiders, was firmly in agreement. Her voice in the matter wasn't loud, but it was powerful. She made it clear that this moment needed to focus on the future, on unity, and on preserving the dignity of the monarchy. More importantly, Kate wanted to protect the emotional symbolism of the day for William and for the British people. This wasn't a place for revisionist history. It was a time to restore what had been lost. As one royal advisor put it, Kate never spoke against Camilla directly. She didn't have to. She simply reminded everyone of what Diana stood for and what the public still feels. And in the most unexpected turn, William chose silence as his weapon. He never confronted Camilla. He never announced her exclusion. He simply moved forward, holding meetings she wasn't part of, finalizing details without her, and making decisions she could not reverse. By the time the coronation date went public, it was already too late for her to fight back. Her place had been erased before she even knew it was missing. And just like his mother had done in the face of chaos, William stayed composed, calm, deliberate, and immovable. But Camilla wasn't done trying, because in one last act of defiance, she made a bold request to stand beside the crown, in front of the world. And what happened next would be the final blow. The final straw, Camilla barred from key ceremony role. In royal tradition, the queen consort always plays a part in the heir's coronation. It's symbolic, showing unity between the past and future. But this time, Camilla was cut out completely. According to insiders, Camilla made a final plea to William's office. She wanted to carry the sovereign's scepter, a highly symbolic role often given to senior royal women. A gesture of continuity, visibility, power. But the answer she received was devastatingly short and cold. Politely declined. No discussion, no justification, just a full-stop rejection. Aides close to William said the decision wasn't personal, it was structural. The coronation would be a future-facing moment, designed to honor legacy and the people, not past complications. In private, however, it was clear. Camilla's name had become a liability. One senior courtier shared, "The last thing William wants is his crowning moment trending with hashtags about betrayal and scandal. He wants a clean legacy. Camilla doesn't fit." Humiliated, Camilla refused to attend the ceremony rehearsal, citing health reasons. But insiders say the truth is simpler. She couldn't face being sidelined. For a woman who had spent decades climbing from mistress to queen, the symbolism was unbearable. She had fought tooth and nail for public acceptance. Now, in one swift generation, she was being erased from the institution she thought she had secured a place in. Those close to her say she cried for hours, retreating to her private chambers and canceling all engagements for the week. Meanwhile, the palace moved on without her. Princess Anne was confirmed to stand beside the Archbishop during the ceremony, symbolizing loyalty and tradition. Princess Charlotte was given a special part in the procession, another subtle signal that the monarchy's female icons of the future would not include Camilla. The final blow came when Camilla's official title was removed from internal coronation documents, replaced by Dowager Queen in private palace briefings. It was done. The door had closed. As one longtime royal staffer quietly remarked, she tried to stay in the frame, but the picture had already changed. And just like that, Camilla's time at the center of the crown came to a quiet, devastating end. Charles' silence. Did he let Camilla fall? As Queen Camilla unraveled behind palace walls, King Charles said nothing. No public statement, no private defense, not even a quiet word of reassurance. And in royal circles, silence often speaks louder than any command. Camilla had hoped, expected even, that Charles would step in, that he'd demand she be included in William's coronation planning, that he'd fight for her place. But when the moment came, he didn't raise a finger. Insiders say Charles was not unaware, but unwilling. He told close friends, "I've made peace with what must happen." That was all he said, a longtime palace aide revealed. In private, Charles is said to be weakened, not just physically, but emotionally. His health has been deteriorating, and sources close to him say he no longer has the energy to play referee between his wife and his heir. At a recent private luncheon, the king reportedly told his inner circle, "Let William shape his reign. He must be free to lead, even if it hurts us." To many, that was a quiet betrayal of Camilla, the woman who stood by him during scandal, who fought beside him for acceptance, and who was once promised a future at his side. And yet now, as her role is being erased piece by piece, Charles has chosen neutrality over protection. Camilla didn't take it well. Sources say she confronted him late one evening in their private quarters at Clarence House. One aide, stationed outside the door, overheard raised voices and muffled sobs. The next morning, Camilla skipped her scheduled charity visit and was not seen again for several days. But Charles remained composed and distant. One friend of the king put it plainly: he's retreating from conflict. He's too tired, too ill. He wants peace in the time he has left. He no longer has the will to fight old battles. Even palace insiders admit Charles sees William not as a rival, but as a relief, a steady hand to take the reins, a way to step back without chaos. And if that means Camilla is pushed aside, so be it. As the coronation planning moves forward without her, Camilla finds herself stranded. Once queen, now just a figure of the past. She hasn't stepped foot inside the main Buckingham offices since, and there are whispers that she may not return at all. But while Charles retreats into silence, someone else is stepping forward with conviction and clarity. Princess Anne's role, the quiet defender of the crown. While Charles stayed silent and Camilla spiraled, Princess Anne stood up and stood firm. From the earliest stages of William's coronation planning, Anne made her position crystal clear. Camilla would not be centered in the next chapter of the monarchy. Insiders say Anne was deeply loyal to her mother's original vision, that Camilla would never be queen. That promise, made by Queen Elizabeth II privately in the early 2000s, had been gradually softened, but Anne never forgot. She sees herself as the guardian of tradition, a senior palace source said, and she believed Camilla's reign had already gone too far. Behind the scenes, Anne worked closely with William and the Archbishop of Canterbury to shape the tone and structure of the coronation. Her influence wasn't flashy, but it was pivotal. She reminded everyone involved that a coronation isn't just about ceremony. It's about sending a message to the world. And that message had to be about legacy, service, and respect for the institution. Not redemption arcs, not rewritten narratives. One insider confirmed that it was Anne who personally advised against Camilla carrying the sovereign's scepter, calling the idea inappropriate and inflammatory. When Camilla heard of Anne's role, she was reportedly furious. But there was nothing she could do. Anne's reputation inside the family is ironclad. She is seen as the most hard-working royal, the most respected, and the least interested in drama. When she speaks, everyone listens. And in this moment, Anne spoke clearly. Camilla was never meant to reign. The coronation must reflect that. Her behind-the-scenes loyalty to William cemented a new alliance. The future king, the Princess Royal, and the Princess of Wales, quietly orchestrating a monarchy rooted in tradition and trust. Even within royal circles, people began referring to Anne as the steel spine of the crown. One senior courtier noted, "She's doing what her mother would have done. No drama, no noise, just calm, ruthless execution of duty." Thanks to Anne, the coronation is shaping up to be a return to form. a clear echo of Queen Elizabeth II's values, with Diana's presence subtly honored and Camilla's influence completely erased. And for Camilla, that reality is more painful than any title change. She didn't lose her crown in one moment. It was taken from her inch, by people who never wanted her there to begin with. And Princess Anne was one of them all along. Kate Middleton's silent triumph. She never raised her voice. She never gave a statement. She didn't need to, because Kate Middleton's influence was felt in every decision leading up to William's coronation, and perhaps in Camilla's quiet downfall. While the palace descended into chaos over Camilla's exclusion, Kate remained calm, focused, and graceful. But make no mistake, she was not just watching. She was guiding. From the earliest planning stages, Kate made it clear this coronation would be elegant, modern, and deeply symbolic. It would honor tradition, but also send a message of unity, of renewal, and of respect for the woman who never got her crown, Princess Diana. One of Kate's most powerful moves came when she suggested that Princess Charlotte take on a special ceremonial role, a visible symbol of the monarchy's future. Camilla, on the other hand, was removed from the schedule entirely. Palace insiders say that every ceremonial decision passed through Kate's hands, and while she never outright opposed Camilla, she made sure nothing would distract from William's moment or Diana's shadow. She never said Camilla's name, one aide revealed, but she didn't have to. Her focus was on William, the children, and what the people wanted to see. She knew how to strike that balance perfectly. And the public noticed. As Camilla's approval ratings plunged, Kate's soared. Newspaper headlines praised her poise, calling her the monarchy's most trusted figure and the modern-day embodiment of regal strength. She never addressed the drama. She never took sides publicly. But behind closed doors, Kate worked closely with Princess Anne, supporting the plan to keep the coronation free of distractions, and, by extension, free of Camilla. Even staff members from Charles's circle admitted Kate's restraint was the most powerful force in the room. One longtime advisor to the crown said, "She doesn't need to speak over anyone. She just leads quietly. That's why she wins." Royal observers also pointed out that Kate never tried to seize the spotlight for herself, even during this historic moment. Her efforts were entirely focused on helping William rise and protecting the monarchy's integrity during the storm. And that's what drew the deepest admiration. As Camilla crumbled under the weight of exclusion and silence, Kate rose quietly, effortlessly, like the queen she is destined to become. Behind the scenes, aides are already calling her the stabilizing force of the new monarchy. Not because she demanded power, but because she embodied it. And with every graceful step, she reminded the world and the palace of the one thing Camilla never could. True respect can't be claimed. It must be earned. Camilla leaves the palace. The truth behind her exit. No camera crews were invited. No official photos were released. But the event will be remembered as one of the most dramatic exits in modern royal history. On a gray Thursday evening, Camilla quietly left Buckingham Palace, escorted not by royal guards, but by her personal staff. No waves, no final bows, just a loaded car, a short goodbye, and a heavy silence. It was supposed to be a pre-coronation dinner, a gathering of senior royals to finalize ceremonial arrangements, but things went sideways fast. According to palace insiders, a heated exchange took place between Camilla and Prince William behind closed doors. The topic? her exclusion from the coronation, and her removal from ceremonial documents. Witnesses say the confrontation was tense, but restrained. Camilla reportedly accused William of humiliating her publicly and rewriting history to erase her. William's response, according to one aide, was cold but firm. "This is about the monarchy, not personal feelings. The crown must endure." The room fell silent, and then Camilla stood up and left. She didn't stay for dinner. She didn't return to her quarters. Instead, she walked out of the palace and didn't come back. The next morning, a royal vehicle arrived at a side entrance. Trunks were loaded in. Her personal assistants, some tearful, helped pack. By noon, she was on her way to Ray Mill House, the Wiltshire property she owned before marrying Charles. No formal announcement was made, but the change was instant. Her name was removed from palace schedules. Her security detail was downgraded. Access to Buckingham's private wings was revoked. In media briefings, the palace described it delicately. Her Majesty has chosen to take time for personal reflection ahead of the new chapter. But behind the polished words was the undeniable truth. Camilla had been pushed out, and she knew it. Staff who had worked with her for over a decade say she left without speaking to most of them. Only a short note remained in her private study, thanking a few loyal aides and asking for privacy. Some believe she may never return in a formal capacity. Others think this is her way of avoiding the final humiliation, watching from the sidelines as William and Catherine ascend without her. Either way, Camilla's chapter in the palace has ended, not with a crown, but with a quiet, devastating retreat. The palace is already moving forward. New portraits are being commissioned, seating charts adjusted, titles updated, and as the palace prepares for the most watched coronation in a generation, Camilla is nowhere in sight. Because in the new royal world being built by William and Kate, there's no more room for the past. Public reaction. The nation divided, but many cheer. The news of Camilla's quiet departure from the palace and her exclusion from William's coronation didn't just make headlines, it split the country in two. Within hours of her exit, British media exploded. Some called it a necessary course correction. Others called it a cold dismissal. But one thing was clear: everyone had something to say. Public polls released the next morning showed Camilla's approval rating had dropped 17 points overnight, her lowest since marrying Charles. In contrast, William and Kate's numbers soared, with a record 81% of respondents calling them the future of the monarchy. But social media is where the real emotional wave unfolded. On X, formerly Twitter, hashtags like #Queen of Hearts, #NotMyQueen, and #CrownRestored dominated the platform. Thousands of users reshared vintage footage of Princess Diana's charity work, overlaying it with footage of Kate and Charlotte preparing for the coronation. The message was powerful. The legacy lives on. One tweet, viewed over 8 million times, read, "Diana wore the crown in our hearts. Kate now wears it for real. Camilla never stood a chance." But not everyone cheered. Some supporters of Camilla, many older royalists who admired her loyalty to Charles, defended her fiercely. "She stood by the king through everything," one supporter commented. "Now she's discarded like a scandal, not a queen." Still, the palace made no effort to soften the blow or publicly defend her. Even Camilla's former allies in the press were mostly silent. No interviews, no insider scoops, just speculation, and a growing understanding that her chapter was officially closed. Royal commentators across networks offered their own interpretations. On BBC One, a royal expert remarked, "Camilla's story was always borrowed time. Diana's shadow was never truly gone. This coronation was the reset the monarchy needed, and the people feel that deeply." And perhaps most tellingly, younger generations overwhelmingly sided with William and Kate. A survey among 18 to 35-year-olds showed that over 70% agreed with the decision to exclude Camilla, calling it restorative and in line with modern values. Even abroad, the story grabbed attention. In the US, CNN aired a full special on the end of Camilla's reign. French newspapers called William's move La Justice Silencieuse, and Australian news declared, "Camilla out, Catherine rises. Charles's legacy quietly rewritten." What once looked like a royal controversy had become a symbolic victory for a generation that grew up watching Diana suffer and Kate rise. But the true power of the public's reaction wasn't just in the applause or the anger. It was in the shift. This wasn't just a farewell to Camilla. It was a return to the crown the people believed in. What this means for the future of the monarchy. The coronation of King William V won't just be about a crown placed on his head. It will be about a monarchy reborn, and who is and isn't part of it. With Camilla officially removed from ceremonial roles and unlikely to return to the public stage, the message is unmistakable. This is William and Kate's era now. Insiders say the coronation will be unlike any before it. A fusion of tradition and modernity, crafted with the precision and emotional intelligence that Queen Elizabeth II mastered and Princess Diana embodied. Kate Middleton's central role is not just ceremonial, it's structural. Behind the scenes, she's already working with cultural advisors, faith leaders, and youth groups to ensure the event speaks to a new generation. Princess Anne, still one of the monarchy's most respected voices, is helping shape the event's tone: calm, disciplined, free of excess, and most importantly, free of drama. And Charles? He will attend the coronation, yes, but not as a reigning monarch. His title will remain, but his role will be purely symbolic. A gesture of continuity, nothing more. His silence over Camilla's exile confirmed what royal watchers have suspected. He stepped back for good. This leaves William and Kate as the monarchy's new foundation. Two figures shaped by tragedy, matured by duty, and united in purpose. And their mission is clear: to rebuild the monarchy around honor, humility, and heritage, not scandal or second chances. Camilla's departure signals more than a personal exit. It marks the end of an era that never truly fit. Her rise was always controversial, her reign always debated. But her exit? That was silent and final. Now all eyes are on what comes next. William's reign is expected to lean into global unity, youth outreach, and climate leadership. Kate will take on a larger public role, with increased diplomatic duties and influence over royal education initiatives. Together, they represent not just the future, but the monarchy the people always hoped for. One that honors the past without being trapped by it. One that wears the crown, not for power, but for purpose. As one palace source put it, this isn't just a coronation, it's a cleansing, and the monarchy may emerge stronger than it's been in decades. For Camilla, there will be no redemption arc, no dramatic return, no final bow, because in the new monarchy, shaped by William, protected by Kate, and rooted in Diana's legacy, there's no more room for yesterday's mistakes. Only tomorrow's promise. Camilla is gone. The crown now rests on William and Kate's shoulders, guided by legacy, dignity, and the memory of Diana. As a new monarchy rises, there's no space for controversy, only clarity. The future is here, and Camilla has been left behind, not by force, but by royal design.